Welcome everyone to the Deeper Insights webinar series. My name is Ruth Ann and it is always my privilege to host these sessions. I would like to encourage everyone to please make sure that you engage with our speaker today by putting your questions or comments or anything burning issues into the question box. We'll make some time for those today. I also want to say that we are migrating our platform. We will be leaving the GoToWebinar platform and going to Zoom. So starting March 4th, we're going to go to Zoom, which will have its own interesting aspects to it. So I welcome everyone to join us March the 4th for that. So today our guest speaker is Kim Orlesky. I am so pleased that Kim could join us today. Kim is one of LinkedIn's top sales influencers. And if you haven't seen her on LinkedIn, then you aren't on LinkedIn. She is always there and has been consistently one of the top sales leaders to follow. She's a startup Canadian woman entrepreneur and a Success Magazine's most inspirational blogger. She has a long history of people and companies that she has been committed to and committed her passions for sales and subscriptions and all kinds of information. So I'm going to let Kim sing a little of the praises, but really I'm going to let you, our listeners, hear Kim. So Kim, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Ruth Ann. Hello, everybody. I don't see your bright, smiling, shiny faces, but I am imagining you all out there because here's the reality. The world that we're living in is that virtual selling, virtual sales is not going away. COVID really accelerated the path in which communicating online has taken advantage of improving and moving that sales process forward even faster. But what we're ultimately going to see is that we're going to be incorporating it more so as we go forward. There's a lot of great information out there, but at the end of the day, most companies aren't expecting to see themselves in live in-person events until 2022 at the very earliest. So what are you planning on doing for the next 10 months until you get to a place where perhaps you'll feel comfortable at that point in time? So what we're going to cover today is number one, how meetings have changed and how you can significantly use those technologies to improve your sales. Number two, how to create more value with less prospecting. Say what? I mean, imagine that, right? We're talking about, as a salesperson, not talking about cold calls and emails. And don't get me wrong, I hugely value them. But I do want you to understand that we all ultimately want to work smarter, not harder. And number three, as we wrap up today, I'm going to give you the fastest way that you're going to be able to increase your win ratios when this is turned on. You have to watch to find out what this is, but I promise you, you're not going to regret that. So very quickly, my company is KO Advantage. We're an umbrella organization that ultimately helps to train in sales process on the virtual selling B2B side. The other side of our arm is called Sales Unicorn. So one of the things you'll see on there, and I put a special in here, I've been a tech speaker since 2019 and a tech member since 2020. My own little testimonial and accolades to the membership. My company would not be where it is today. High growth in the times of COVID had it not been for tech. And I will fully attribute as well the other incorporation, Sales Unicorn, where we're ultimately training. I'm in Alberta. We're training underemployed and unemployed Albertans who want to have more freedom in their life, the skill set in virtual selling so that they can be placed inside small and mid-sized businesses across Canada and the US on a contract basis. We're revolutionizing the way your company is going to hire salespeople. The other thing that we made a massive change on is that we turned ourselves from a program into a subscription-based university. So that allows more companies to have more cash flow. And what we're seeing in terms of trends of companies, more companies are moving towards subscription-based. All of that I will contribute to my contribution to tech. So let's talk about virtual selling, virtual sales. Okay, bump, bump, the reality, it's not going back, right? We may think that at some point when everybody is vaccinated and we're back into in-person and in people-to-people communication, that's great. We can finally get rid of Zoom. We can finally get rid of all of this video conferencing stuff. Unfortunately, we're watching big companies like Twitter and Slack that have moved themselves to entirely and permanently work from home. And the trend is, depending on where your company is that we're going to see more and more of this. I just finished a classroom today with another tech company who is a member. They hired our team to bring on and teach virtual sellings and process. And they're bringing on more salespeople in all of these remote communities as they grow their business. And what those individuals are finding is that they're having to go ahead and still meet virtually. It doesn't matter the fact that you have somebody in Europe or someone in India or someone in Texas, if at the end we're all meeting in the same way. Number two, and for some of us, it kind of feels like a shot in the dark. As I was putting this together, I was like, oh my goodness. For those of us that are old enough to remember Y2K, the end of times, now what we're finding is the people that were born after Y2K, that changed the clock to 2000, they're entering the workforce. And that is a trend that is going to continue more so. Our buyers are getting younger, our salespeople are getting younger, which means that they're ultimately looking for more work-life balance, more flexibility, and the ability to be able to work how and where they want to. I'm in Calgary, and I was speaking at one of the groups out in Kelowna. Shout out to Sean and her team out there. And one of the things they said, she had a realtor in her tech group, and he said, I can't believe how busy I am. All you Calgarians are coming over to Kelowna and moving here because it doesn't matter where business is happening. And I was like, wow, you're absolutely right. We're seeing this happen more and more. And if you are an employer and you're hiring somebody, I can guarantee you within 6 months to a year of hiring that person, the individual is going to say, do you mind if I, work in Canmore, work, outside of Montreal? I work in some rural community, as long as I have high-speed internet. And typically we're going to say, well, yeah, you're a great performer. But what this is ultimately an opportunity for you to have higher profitability. I don't know about you, but when I was traveling a lot less, when we were investing in a lot less trade shows, when we were changing the way our revenue was being redistributed to some of our expenses, we were more profitable. Number two, my team became dramatically more productive. And one of the things that I reached out to them back at the end of last year, as I asked them, I said, would you like us to get back into an office? And emphatically, every single person on my team of 10 said, no, we're fine. We like working virtually. But what this ultimately means is for you as an employer, as a sales leader, maybe as a sales individual, it means that we have to increase our process. We have to get clearer on what that looks like, because trying to turn everything from an in-person meeting, an in-person sales cycle, to an online or virtual selling environment does not work. Imagine the days of when the microwave started off and everyone was like, it's great. It's like an automatic oven. And if you went to your microwave and tried to cook your meal the same way you would cook it in an oven versus a microwave, you would char it, you would burn it, you would leave nothing left behind. We're moving things faster, which means that we have to adapt and change the way we're looking at the entire process. So virtual sales really is about getting more focused. When we were able to meet people in person, this allowed meetings to start and end late. I mean, we could start at any time, we could end at any time. I imagine you're already picturing yourself waiting in the reception area for a client, or maybe you were having somebody meet you. Maybe you're in the situation of a buyer and you would have a sales rep sitting and waiting for you. And if your last meeting ran long by 5 or 10 minutes time, that's okay. The sales rep can wait. We know they're well taken care of. In the days of sitting and watching and waiting for the pop-up on Zoom to say, but so-and-so has entered the room, we want to ensure that those meetings are now punctual and short. Short and concise being the key here. Number two, the other thing we used to do in person that is no longer created is this value was created in rapport. I'm a traditional salesperson in the grand scheme of things. I was trained by Xerox, American Express, Purolator, and I worked for a year in medical device sales. And in all of those times, they would always bring in a sales trainer that would have us come in, and we were trained to start looking at pictures of boats. Where's the boat? Where's the boat? Where's the boat? So that you could go to your client and be like, oh, customer, you like boats? I like boats too. Look at us. We're a couple of boat lovers. Isn't that amazing? We have so much in common. Now we can get down to business. But what we just finished learning from punctual and short meetings is that rapport can't be created in that same amount of time. How do we create it? How do we create value if rapport is the value that is sales, which actually turns out it's not, but we'll save that for another conversation on another time. How do we create value? And number three, tools that should support the conversation now become the conversation. And it is critical that as leaders of our organization, we have given everybody the technology, the means to use it, and are training them how to use it appropriately, quickly, and with efficiency so that every single person can go on forward. I'm going to be talking a lot, but you are more than welcome. Inside the Q&A, please start writing any questions you have going on. I'm going to have two stop points in this presentation. The first one is actually going to be halfway through. I'll address some of your key questions as we go forward. The second point will be at the very end, where we'll allow ourselves to go even further in depth. I'm also going to give you an opportunity to connect with me directly. We're family. We're family here in the tech group. So I want to make sure that you have that. So we talked about short meetings, how short should be short. It turns out, this was a poll I did on LinkedIn. I asked people, what is the ideal length of time for your meetings? And if you're shocked by some of these statistics, please even put in the chat. Be like, I believe that, or that is definitely not what I thought. I want to hear from you as well. But when we were in person meetings, an hour was your typical length of time. Why? Why was an hour the length of time of a typical meeting? Well, usually because we would take 20 minutes to commute to some location. You would have to go 20 minutes to commute back. So you've already wasted 40 minutes in a commute on average, maybe even longer than that. It never made sense to have any meeting that was shorter than the amount of time that you were commuting. So typically we would have our meetings be an hour or greater. What we're finding in virtual selling is now the mass majority of people, 80% of people want the meeting to be 30 minutes or less. Is your sales team set up to have effective 30-minute meetings in a way that still is meaningful and is still able to move the sales cycle forward? If you go into your calendar and take a look at how your chunked meetings are they 20, 30-minute meetings, or are they much longer than that? Because the reality is, as people start to get used to these shorter period of meetings, even when we're in person, this is going to start to be the standard. And I likely believe that what we're going to see is this hybrid, that our first 1 or 2 meetings with the clients are going to be those shorter meetings. Maybe the third or fourth proposal meetings will finally be in person again, but don't count on it, because what we're going to see is that our buyers, our clients want to be far more efficient than ever before. So what does that mean for your meeting length and time? More meetings, shorter time. More meetings in a condensed version. This, you may have been able to get by with 2 or 3 meetings in order to get to proposal or close in the past. What this is going to mean for your own sales cycles is that you may have 5, 6, or 7 meetings now, but the time is going to be that much shorter. You have to get much clearer on what that is. The other thing that this ultimately means is that you have to be focused on what is the outcome. What are we hoping to achieve out of that meeting. And without that level of clarity, that's ultimately going to have you just chatting. It's going to have you talking. And what the client is going to say in that 20-minute meeting, where we're so busy building rapport at the beginning, like we would typically do in an in-person meeting, we have now wasted our time, and also the clients. And at the end of that meeting, the client is going to ask us, well, thank you so much for this. If you want to send me some information, I'm more than happy to review it in my own time. And we're thinking to ourselves, awesome, awesome. The client is asking for information, but do not celebrate that, because what that ultimately is you have been destroyed. The end is near, because ultimately you have left the client off to their own devices. Know what your intention is, know where your outcome is, know where your sales process is. Because as we move forward in the sales cycle, every single step needs to have a very specific time. Go ahead and even tell me how many people are even already celebrating the 20-minute meeting, the 30-minute meeting. Are you being punctual in that? Because as we move forward and we see the 20-minute, 30-minute meeting start to take over, it's going to be even more critical that by the time you get to minute 25 in that meeting, you're closing up the meeting and you're telling your client, listen, this is a great conversation. I would love for us to reconnect and continue it on. Are you available Thursday at 2 p.m.? And get that next meeting booked. Do not allow you or your salespeople to continue to disrespect your client's time by taking up more of their time. Once those dominoes start to fall in that calendar, every 30-minute meeting is now being delayed by another minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Who is ultimately the one that has to take the brunt of it? It's your client, and they will not be happy with that. In your sales cycle and your buyer's journey, take a screenshot of this if you need it. If you're not even sure what your sales cycle should look like, what are the steps in this process, this is going to be the most valuable slide for you. Print it off, share it with your team. You need to have this, and every single step in your virtual selling meeting needs to cover at least one of these. Stick within that bucket and do not pass go. Do not continue to collect your $200 because you are not there yet. We have to cover the right processes, the right questions as we go forward. The biggest thing I want you to take away from this slide is the one in the bottom left corner, proposal stage. Nothing new should ever, 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 ever be presented at a proposal. But Kim, what about the price? We shouldn't be talking about the price before that point in time. Ah, you are so wrong. Your buyers already want to talk about the price, and they want to talk about the price as early as the first meeting. Is your team prepared to talk about it? Can they articulate price in a way that is meaningful? And you should not get to proposal unless you have a gut feeling that you have an 80% chance of saying yes. So how long will your clients be waiting for those meetings to start? Right? It turns out in another LinkedIn poll, what we're finding is the vast majority will not go ahead more than 5 minutes. Your meetings need to start on time every single time when we're talking about virtual selling, because the moment we get into the more than 5-minute time frame, you have significantly lost your audience. What is the likeliness if you are running 3 or 5 minutes behind and then you let your client know that you need a few more extra minutes? The client is going to be, oh, of course. You've wasted 5 minutes of my time, which is more valuable in a virtual selling environment than ever before. You've wasted 5 minutes of my time. Of course, I'll let you take another 30-minute time block in my calendar. We have to ensure that not only do meetings start on time, they must end on time as well. If you are not watching on your computer at this screen, you're watching your client, if you are doing a screen share, which we'll talk about here in a second, if you are doing that, you better have a timer going on at the exact same time. And if I am a sales manager and I see that my team is not ready to wrap up right on time, that is like, what are you going to do to gain the respect of your client all over again. The goal here is to be bold, be brief, and be gone, right? That is just around the meeting lengths and the times. How do we create that value in that period of time? How do we create that before we even get to that meeting? It's great to have that meeting, but Kim, how are we prospecting? I would be happy to get a 20 or 30-minute meeting right now, but right now I don't even know where to find those prospects. So social selling is where we really need to step up our game. Social selling is really how business to business is connecting with prospects better and easier than ever before. We can't just be in an office tower and do the pop in anymore. We have to go and meet our clients where they already are. And it turns out the vast majority of them are on LinkedIn. So let's cover what social selling is first. For some of you, this is a brand new concept. You've probably never heard this term, or maybe you have heard it, but we don't know exactly what this is. So social selling is all about leveraging social networks to help build those relationships. How do we build trust in social networks? Here is the big thing. It is not going out and blasting your entire contact list onside LinkedIn with direct messaging saying, hey, do you want to meet? Hey, do you want to meet? Hey, here's a portfolio and a brochure that you would like to see. If you'd like to meet, here's my booking link. Do you want to meet? Do you want to meet? Do you want to meet? Boring, wrong. And you know this because when you get that request, you are already turned off. So if you're turned off by it, why are we then in turn telling our salespeople to be like, hey, just do whatever it takes, just start contacting people, start asking them for meetings? It already doesn't work. You are the proof in the pudding. So number two, the other thing you need to know about social selling is it's not a one and done, nor is it a solo person's game. It is a team effort. And one of the things, if you do follow me on LinkedIn, I do encourage it if you don't. But one of the things you'll find with my team in particular is that we have 4 or 5 individuals who are constantly doing all sorts of different social media, video, posts, polls, comments, tags, shares, everything. And one of the things that we all take into consideration is we're all there to comment on everybody's posts, all there to like, to challenge, to ask questions, to support the conversation. And what is happening? We're dramatically seeing our prospects come to us because people are commenting, they're taking notice, and it's not just one person on our entire team who's getting the notice, it's 4. And when 4 people are getting it, at the end of the day, there's one thing that rings true. Your clients will buy from people they like and trust, not only one single person. And if somebody doesn't like me, great, I'm okay with that, because you have an option to like Nick, to like Mike, to like Chris, to like me, or any of the other supporting team members that we have. And yes, even from a marketing and admin side, we encourage them to get out there and just post and like and share a personal photo or story about themselves. Everyone needs to be doing this because this is the way that you're going to do this. It also gives your prospects insight into who you are, right? People want to know, who am I buying from? Great if you want to do a feature dump. Here's all the things that we can do for you. But no, I want to buy from someone I trust, someone I believe that I can be supported to. And when you think of your own buying criteria, you typically buy from companies and brands that you believe in, that you feel trusted by, that you feel that they're going to take care of you, not because they check the check boxes. And if that's what you're going for, chances are you're a transactional sale. And that's great if that's what you're going for. Majority of the clients that are really embracing this are looking for the boutique, the premium buyer to buyer. Here's a couple stats when it comes to social selling, right? Number one, 91% of buyers are already active on social media. 91%, they're already there. If you found a room where you said 91% of the people in this room are probably someone that will buy from me, You would do whatever it takes to get in this room. So why are you not leveraging LinkedIn? Why is your team not leveraging LinkedIn? They're in that room. Get there. It's not a physical room, it is a virtual room, and we're seeing more and more of those as we go forward. 84% of senior executives are using social media to support their purchasing decisions, right? They're no longer just saying, hey, let's just Google search and find out what's going on. If they are Google searching, they're typically going to LinkedIn at some point in time and reading and seeing what else is going on there. What are people saying about this? What are the testimonials? What are the reviews that are happening? What kind of videos are they putting out there? Let's just take a look and really understand what this company is about, and then what they are trying to sell. Not what are they trying to sell and then what are they about. This is Simon Sinek. Start with the why, right? Why is this so important to you? What are you trying to accomplish? What is the goal that you want your people to go after? Your buyers want to be better. And right now they're in this awareness stage. They do not seek us because they do not know what they are looking for. We can't tell them, hey, listen, this is the challenges and the problems you have, because in all honesty, we really don't know. Things changed so dramatically over the last year. What they are seeking, guaranteed every single time, is that life can be better. Business can be better. Profitability can be better. That is what they're ultimately seeking, not a band-aid to a wound on their arm. And then finally, 75% of B2B buyers are influenced by social media. They're out there, they're asking people, they're reaching out to their networks, they're reading what's going on. If you want to get prospects to come to you, do the things that they're interested in. So if you're really challenged to try to find some of those ideas for social postings, here it is. Take a screenshot if you need, right? There's 8 things on here. Every single day of the week, you could do one of these and you would have more than enough content for the rest of the year. Number 1, celebrate your team. Who are they? Talk about each person on your entire team individually. Put the person behind the buyer persona. Put the person forefront. If you truly believe that the strength of your team is based on the strengths of the individuals, celebrate the individuals who make up your team. Tell a personal story about them. Let them introduce their dog or their cat, or maybe something really interesting or entertaining. Trust me, your buyers do want to know the people that they're going to be working with. Number 2, celebrate your network. And your network could be everything from celebrating your current clients to maybe celebrating your prospects. There's nothing that would get a prospect more interested in something than a company saying, here's all the reasons why I love this company. And we don't even work with them, but we just want to celebrate the amazing things that they're doing in the industry. They're thought leaders, they're trailblazers. They are living the values of, trying to create work-life balance, whatever it is, right? HubSpot recently did this as a perfect example of this. They hit a wonderful milestone of $1 billion in ARR, annual recurring revenue. And in order to celebrate that, what they did was they said, this is 100,000 clients that make up $1 billion in ARR. And they listed some of their amazing clients that already work for them. The blog post was probably about 1,200 words. Each paragraph was celebrating a new type of client. There was about 12 clients in there. And as you're reading it, you're thinking to yourself, from the buyer's perspective, you're thinking to yourself, number 1, holy crap, I didn't know that they did business with that company. And number 2, I hope one day I'm one of the companies they choose to celebrate. Do you think that's going to help you get more business? Number 3, polls. Polls are easy. Anybody can do a poll. And you can sit around as your marketing team and start deciding, what are some of the questions we want to ask? What are the things that we really want to find out from our clients? Some of those statistics, those pie charts, were polls that I asked from my LinkedIn network. We're moving into a brand new area of virtual selling. And what we want to do is we're creating it as we go along. So I'm going back to the information of others and saying, what do you think? Q&A Hot takes being anything where you will believe that this is a hot topic, or I hate Zoom meetings, right? And here's all the reason I hate them. Sure, put that out there, right? Tell people what they really want to hate. A hot take is like a controversial opinion, and oftentimes it's like these are like the mountains you will die on. Now it can be you stay away from like really serious topics, but have fun with it. um, the started versus now, right? This is where we started from. This is where we are to now. Because our clients want to see our journey, and let them experience that. I am positive that you have old brochures, old pictures of teams, the old office that you worked in. Show people how far that you've come. It's a journey we're celebrating. Testimonials and case studies, and I can't go enough about those ones. They're so valuable that at the end of that sales cycle, for those of you that took that screenshot, that's the top right part in order to help move that entire wheel forward. This is one of those playground merry-go-rounds. And the more people we have pushing that entire playground, the more people that we have going and ready to jump on. And one builds the next, builds the next. That is something that we need to celebrate. Virtual selling will take more discipline, not less. And it's right from the prospecting side and figuring out how are we going to help people to find us? How are we going to help them get there? But as well as asking the right questions in those meetings, ensuring that we're able to ultimately connect with our clients in the right ways and moving those sales cycles forward. You may think that having more meetings is going to slow down the sales cycle, but on the contrary, it actually helps to speed it up. Now I'm going to take a few Q&A questions here. Do we have any showing up so far?
We sure do, Kim. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, Stephen would like to be your sales unicorn, and he has a couple of questions here.
Yeah.
So he's asking about your preferred CRM for running your sales team. You mentioned HubSpot,
Yes.
MS Dynamics, Salesforce, one page. Is there a magic bullet for that?
Yeah, I mean, CRM is a very personal type of conversation. Personally, we chose HubSpot. I come from in the Fortune 500 worlds. We used to live by Salesforce. Before that, it was actually a lot of proprietary. We live by Salesforce, but for most small and mid-sized businesses, Salesforce is overkill. I love HubSpot because it was a perfect combination of what I knew from Salesforce without having the Salesforce price tag. But at the end of the day, the one suggestion I will always give you on a CRM is pick for the company you want to be, not for the company you are today. Imagine where you want to be in 5 years' time. How many sales reps do you want to have? How many clients, prospects do you want to have? And how are they going to move through that entire process? And you want to be able to have chains of communication that filter that way, because it is a pain in the butt if you ever have to change your CRM. So always choose for what you are. But yes, I am personally, I'm a big fan of HubSpot.
Right? Yeah, grow into the company you want to be. Julia has a question. She says, what is the first thing that a company needs to do if they are not currently in the social selling scene? So what's baby step one?
Baby step number one is just start planning out what kind of content you want to do. I gave the great little outline of different types of things. Start choosing one different thing that you can do, and don't overcomplicate it. Don't think you need to write 800 word articles. Start off with a post. One of the things that we did with our team was we sat down with our marketing people and we started posing just questions. And we said, let's just do an idea dump at this point in time. What are the questions that people are asking? We posed all of our ideas as questions, as opposed to this is what we should talk about. It was, what is the question that we want to answer, or what is the question that we want to pose in the case of a poll. And that has really generated a lot of new ideas moving forward. And then do not feel free to regurgitate content over and over and over again. We do everything from from sharing like 3 slides out of a slide deck to photos or videos of people just having fun on Fun Fridays, as well as, like I said, like, we'll do polls as well. Just start. Done is better than perfect, Julia. Done is better than perfect.
Yeah, just get started. There's
Yeah.
been a few questions about the type of company that can be using virtual selling. So, about the size. A question came in about small companies, less than 5. What would their model be? And also, if you're a manufacturing company, what does that look like? So, is there different scaling for different companies?
You know what? I honestly, I think every company needs to embrace this. I mean, we're a small company. I said, we grew up to a team of 10. This time last year, we were at 3, so we've grown ourselves significantly. And we see a lot of small companies that take this on because they need to be able to grow in that. And as part of that growing profitably and productively, typically in that high growth mode, you need to be able to have a lot of conversations in shorter periods of time. So it's about getting out of there. Vast majority of our students right now. So we do, on top of having the subscription based open classrooms, monthly subscription classroom, team trainings where you can join as an individual. We allow private classrooms for teams of companies. And the last 4 companies that have joined up on the team side have all been in the manufacturing industrial space. And let's be honest, they're suffering hard because in that case, so in these cases, we're dealing with everything from valves to fan units, to lubrications, to machinery, specifically in the agro industry. And in each of those cases, they come from a school of thought that if I show up to a site, if I show up to Northern Alberta, oil sands, if I show up to rural Saskatchewan farm with a box of donuts and some coffee, that was a great way of us creating that communication. Now, unfortunately, you cannot do that anymore. You cannot do that. And so manufacturing and industrial companies have been suffering this even further. Now, they have the unique challenge that depending on who their clients are, they're not finding them on LinkedIn the same way. So in the agro business, we're finding that they're using the same techniques, but specifically on Twitter and forums such as Reddit. But in the oil, where their clients are oil sands types of customers or any other types of facilities, industrial, other manufacturing companies, LinkedIn still is their primary focus. And it's about really embracing video communication, getting really clear on that, because what we're finding is these companies they have to move fast. And what we're seeing is the older generations of people are just not being able to keep up, and they're replacing them with younger generations on both sides, the sellers as well as the buyers. And the buyers are most interested in connecting with people via Zoom and online.
Super. Just 2 more questions to wrap up about businesses, and then I've got one on the actual sales technique. So a question on video messaging. What are your thoughts on video messaging? And I'm going to segue that with Riza's question about how important or how effective is it for a company to host online events or webinars to a target audience versus or compared to marketing activities?
Oh, you're talking right up my alley, actually, Ruth Ann. So if we can, let me close out this presentation because we're going to talk serious about video, and then let's hopefully that will address all 3 of those questions about video conferences and targeting, using video as part of a direct messaging and sales prospecting side, and really how valuable is video. Is that fair? Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah,
I'll take the
go
silence.
for it.
Yeah, like doctors, right? No answer is a good answer. Right. So let's talk about increasing your close ratio. Okay. How do we increase our close ratio? So Gong.io is a company, they're actually an AI company. They will run in the background of every single one of your sales calls. So when you're doing a Zoom call, right, you would actually have your Gong.io little partner who's recording and analyzing everything. And over that period of time, what they've done is, because now that they have, you know, whatever, thousands of individuals and close information on companies, they're able to dissect it. Now, video is so critical now, because what Gong.io said, it doesn't matter who has their webcam on, whether it's the buyer or the seller or both, but the chances of you increasing your close ratio in virtual selling and through online methods dramatically increases 127% more when at least someone's webcam is on. Why? Because communication is not entirely verbal. Now, there is value in just having every now and then a phone call conversation versus an online or a Zoom or Skype or Teams meeting, whatever you want to use. But there's also a lot of value in ensuring that when you are on, your video is on every single time. And as a leader in a company, you need to make sure your people have the technology. Either get them a really good camera or laptop that has it, or go and buy an external login camera as well. You can get those for super, super cheap in the event that the quality isn't that good. Because it's not just about having your video on. It's about ensuring that you have the best reflection of yourself. I want to be able to see if somebody's like, giving the scowl. Okay, why are they scowling? They look interested. Okay, tell me what interested you. Or are they shaking their head? Okay, hold on. What's going on? I can't hear on a phone this. I can see it. And when I see it, I hear it. The other thing about physical communication is that in tonality is important, but there's a way that we also interpret words differently when we see somebody face to face. So what you want to do in your own environment is, number one, focus on the camera, not on the person. And this is going to take a little bit of training. You'll typically on a lot of laptops, there's like the little green light that shows. Every now and then, just look at the camera, look directly at me, not at me on the screen. When you see somebody's eyesight change, I'm look at the bottom, I'll look at the bottom, I'll look at you. It changes the way we interpret the attention and active listening of that person. We talk about active listening in our program, and it's so much different. And typically, I'll ask people, how do you know they're actively listening? And they'll say, they're giving me eye contact. And I said, okay, how else do you know? And they're like, well, they're, you can see that they're taking notes. And I'm like, great. Now, how do you do that on a camera? How do you know someone's giving you eye contact over a camera? How do you know if you don't see my hands? How do you know I'm taking notes? How do you know I'm not candy crushing it on my phone? How do you know there's nothing going on behind me? And all of a sudden they're like, oh my goodness, you're right. So it takes a lot more discipline as we want. So when you think of looking at the camera, the same way when you're driving, every now and then you look in your rearview mirror or you look at one of the side mirrors, that's all it takes. You don't have to stare at your side view mirror as you're driving. You would crash your vehicle. But every now and then, give it a little glance, be cognizant of it. Limit the people on the call. I see too many people that think it's a wonderful experience to have, 10 people on a phone call. If I had a 10-person meeting in person, that would be a great meeting. And so we think this is awesome. Let's have more people on this phone call. But what ends up happening is the same way the Brady Bunch continued to move everybody into shorter and shorter and shorter little screens and videos, it became much more difficult. And we don't want to have people talking over each other. So limit it to 4 people or less, ideally 1 or 2, in order to keep the conversation going. And you want to be calling on specific names. One of the bad things that salespeople do is the same way that they would do in an in-person meeting. They say, well, who has any questions? And they leave it like that. But when I call Chris, what questions do you have? Matt, what do you think about this? Karen, what are your thoughts on this conversation? They're forced to contribute as they want. Now, light in front, right? As much as possible. I laugh at this photo of this woman because she has the worst video on the other side. It's a cute photo, don't get me wrong, but the things that she's doing wrong in that is she has her light in the back. And from the other side of this, she's going to come off as this dark shadow. She's going to be so contrasted. She has her laptop sitting on her lap, which means that every time she shifts, the entire thing feels like they're on an earthquake. And then she's not even using an external mic. She's using the mic on her camera. And depending on your computer, unfortunately, most of the computers, in order to save space, actually put the mic in the back of the camera, not in the front, which means that it's going to be better to pick up sounds that are behind you, not in front of you. People may forgive bad video. They will not forgive bad audio. Make sure you are doing an audio test as much as possible, and as you can, avoid your distractions. If you don't want your client to be texting while they're on the phone, do not be texting in the meantime. And you can use video in a wide variety of different ways. So DM is direct messaging being where I'm sending someone a LinkedIn direct message. InMail is going to be a little bit different. And I have a whole bunch of research and opinions on that in our program. But at least if you're connected to the person, LinkedIn now gives you the option to do a video. You can send it through email or SMS, text messaging, lots of different ways. However, the same way I said, meet your clients where they are, not where you want them to be. You want to use video in that way. On the buyer side, we're not completely used to using video for everything. And if you are forcing me to watch a video while I'm multitasking, I'm watching this WebEx, I am sending an email to somebody else, and then I'm LinkedIn in messaging somebody else, prospecting, trying to book myself a time, and they respond with a video with no text. Oh, now I have to watch the video. Okay? Do not force your client to watch the video. Show the video, text it out. For people like me, I read faster than I watch videos. I prefer to read, so that if they choose to watch the video, or if that's their preferred method of communication, that's an option. And the other option is that you see the text as well with them. But keep your videos short and succinct. And what it really should do, the objective of the video is not substance, but rather support. I want to see your personality. I want to know who I'm dealing with. So think big, think giphy, think just even a quick wave, saying hi, as the video is enough, because now you're a human. Now you're a person. You're not just texting all the way through. Do not force me to turn on the audio to be able to see that you're a friendly person. Prospecting in virtual networks, and really that whole formula. So we're being moved into these virtual environments, and what we're seeing is that as you're connecting with other people, we're looking at different ways. This is actually a screenshot from Inbound. I was a speaker at that event. That is not me. I couldn't take a screenshot of myself presenting. With Inbound, what they did was they had, it was a different environment where you would actually walk into a different room and you would see your little avatar at the bottom there watching a speaker on a stage. Now, what they did encourage, though, was a lot of the speed networking. Now, unfortunately, people are thinking that, well, this is great. With technology, we just get to move faster. People are still people, and nobody wants to go to a networking event, virtual or otherwise, and immediately be pitched, right? What they want to know is, who are you? Who is this person? Take that conversation offline, off the webinar, but in the meantime, get to know my personality. Think of different questions that you can ask somebody outside of just your standard elevator pitch, right? What would you do if you won the lottery? What great events have you attended in the last year that have been entirely virtual? If you could live anywhere right now, where would you live and why? And just create those icebreaker conversations and get to know the person. And then typically one of the nice things that they're doing in virtual environments is they will allow you to link to that other person's LinkedIn profile. You know what? It's so good to get to know you. Can we connect on LinkedIn? Yeah, sure. right? If you pitch me immediately, say, hi, my name is Kim, I sell paper products, I work for Dunder Mifflin, do you need any paper products now or in the future? The person's gonna be like, no, I'm good. Cool, can we connect on LinkedIn in case you need any paper products? Yeah, I guess so, right? And then they're like, you'll sit there in this pending forever. Don't be sitting in inbox pending. Get to that connection and then create the relationship as much as possible, right? All right, so how does this mean that we're going to prepare for now? Okay, you need to train for this new environment. Lead generation, social selling is going to be more critical than ever. Creating meeting conciseness, not just knowing how long the meeting is, but what are we covering in that meeting? How are we going to get to that end goal? And how do we ensure that the next meeting is booked? And practice. This is a skill set, the same as anything else. Sales is a skill, virtual selling is a skill, learning to cook is a skill. And we cannot just one day open a cookbook and say, this is awesome. I'm going to open myself up a Michelin star restaurant. I have recipes. This is fantastic. No, we need to practice this. You're going to be watching or practice watching for nonverbal cues, practice screen sharing and still presenting, practice being distracted and not losing a beat. Test lighting and sound and what looks best and what environments work and which ones don't. Practice with, virtual backgrounds, whatever it is. There's different things that we can practice in order to keep your team effective. There is nothing worse than having somebody on a meeting and fumbling around with controls or backgrounds or virtual elements. The nice thing about embracing Zoom as part of not only your sales process is that you can use the recordings to create even faster processes in the future. If I record sales calls of my salespeople and then I hire someone new, I say, just watch what Karen did on that meeting. Just follow, like, what are some of the questions she asked, and get the person to watch around. What are some of the things that Karen picked up on, right, in that video call, right? Where did she see the change? Oh, you know what? Now that I'm looking at it, I'm seeing where the inflection had changed. I'm seeing how that person had just changed ever so slightly in their eyebrow movement, right? I'm going to pay more attention to that. You can also transcribe your audio for training. There's a lot of different websites that do this. Otter.ai, otter, like the little, aquatic mammal. Otter.ai, you can actually have a plugin that will go in live in your Zoom meetings. And at the end of the Zoom meeting, it will say your transcription is ready, so that you can use that. Somebody had asked, how do you use blog posts? That's another great blog post, right? Maybe you have an open format Q&A and you transcribe all the audio, and all of the Q&As, every question became an answer. What do you have? 12 different blog posts, 12 different LinkedIn posts that you can put in there. Wow, you've created a whole 2 weeks worth of content just by doing an hour-long open Q&A. Stephen, this is for you. The future of hiring salespeople. As we move more into virtual meetings, we're going to be moving more into virtual roles. Be okay if your person doesn't live in your same city. That people want to have freedoms from employers and employees. And what does that look like? At the end of the day, this is going to be about, creating people that will just work for you. We manage them, we train them, we onboard them, we make sure that they're set up for you and your team, and you're only paying a monthly subscription. Imagine that. We're full at capacity for our companies right now, but if you want to be on the waiting list for the next wave of companies that are ready to hire a contract-based salesperson, go to salesunicorn.com/wait and sign up as an employer or as an employee or a potential contractor if that's what you're looking for, because we would love to have you join the revolution of hiring salespeople. Thank you. This is me today. Which one? I know. It's actually me on the left, in case they look so familiar. Ruth Ann gave me a great introduction. For those of you that showed up late, I am LinkedIn's most influential sales leader to follow. I am Startup Canada's Female Entrepreneur of the Year. And that's my third book sell more faster. So you can hit, if you send me a message, I'll even, we'll help you get there. I really do want to talk to you. I'm going to save time for Q&A here with our last few minutes, but please text me 403-390 9793. Send me your, if you text with your email, we'll send you the slide decks to today's content. If you just want to have a conversation, or you have a question that we cannot address today on the Q&A, go ahead and text that as well, and we will we'll make sure that we get you a response as quickly as possible. Don't forget to put your name so I know who I'm texting back and forth. I love knowing phone numbers, but I always love knowing your name. 403-390-9793. Ruth Ann, what questions do we have as we wrap up?
Wow. Thanks, Kim. And I wanted to let everybody know too that this has been recorded and will be on the Tech Canada website. So it's an opportunity for, Kim really gave us a Gatling gun loaded with bullets to take back and really fire up a sales force. And please do access that, review it again. Maybe even in your tech group, you might want to pull some clips out to review, and to remember that you can book Kim to come in and have her go into a deeper dive. Kim, I loved what you said about, just because you have a recipe book doesn't mean you can open a Michelin restaurant. And I think that a lot of people really get that. So Ed had a question, and it was about what might be the right balance between posts on your products and services versus non-product posts. Sometimes companies post a little bit too much about themselves, and
Yeah.
that kind of has that edge to it now.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you need to be to a certain point like promotional, like tooting your own horn. But what I say is, I go with the 4-1-1 type of theory, right? So for every 4 posts that you post about, just client testimonials, here's information, here's or answering the Q&A. 1 post would be about your product, and then 1 post has to be about your people, right? 4 posts about anything you want, right? Whether that is conferences that you're attending, Q&As that you're answering, a poll question, anything else, right? 1 post about your product, 1 post about your people. 4-1-1.
Super. You gave some great tips about how to get your sales force really nailed in and concise and punctual. What do you do when a customer, hasn't turned their camera on? How
Ah,
do you get that moving?
yeah. So I like to use the question. It's a really soft way of just kind of encouraging it. It's are you in a place where you can turn your webcam on? And it just kind of like prompts somebody to be like, oh yes, I am. But well, let's be okay if they can't, right? Maybe there's bandwidth issues, maybe they have children screaming in the background, whatever the case is. If for whatever reason they are not able to turn their webcam on, do not hesitate to keep yours on. Keep yours on. What you saw from the statistics is you still have a 127% chance of closing the deal if someone's webcam is on. So do not think, well, if they're having their webcam off, I'm going to keep mine on. Don't lose a beat. Keep yours on, keep focused, smile, just pretend that you're talking to somebody as you normally would. They're picking up what you're laying down, and that is more important than you understanding entirely. You want your buyer to understand you as much as possible.
One final question, and it's from Gerard, and it's about corporate culture. Nowadays, we are looking at employees being more engaged in social selling. They could be the receptionist, etc. How do you get your employees and everyone in your company to be part of your sales team? Let's close there.
Yeah, yeah. So make it easy for them. So one of the things that you can do on LinkedIn, number one, hopefully they're listed as an employee on their own LinkedIn. And when you post something once a week, you can go ahead and you go to the posting. There's 3 little dots under by the top right corner of the posting, and you can say notify all employees. And once a week, you can encourage them to say, listen, when we notify you, please do your part to comment, like, or share the posting, and then also give them ideas on what they can post. So you may do a few different challenges, such as, listen, 1 day a month, I want you to post a photo of you sitting at your desk tag our company in it and tell people why you love working for the company. Tell people what you get from your role that you couldn't get anywhere else, and really make it fun for them to incorporate that. You know, everything from dogs to kids to plants. There's all sorts of different things they can do, but it's about the people and letting them feel that they can be as authentic to be a contributor to your company.
Super. Well, thank you again, Kim Orlesky. It has been a fabulous morning. And to everyone out there, I please do encourage you to reach out to Kim. She gave you her number to text, and you can access it on the tech website as well, the video that we have recorded here. So thanks, everybody. Take care. Be
Thank
well
you.
out there.